Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people. And Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared.
Keep your eye out for that one.
Yeah, it's no problem. I'm glad you're taking a stand for that as well. There's too much bullying, and I was exposed to a lot of it in high school. Like, it was very poorly regulated. I saw some kids get beat up and yelled at and made fun of, and it's like, that's what drives people insane, along with all the homework they get and all that. It's like schools need to do a better job too, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of parents that are busy too, and you haven't got the time. Some of my kids, the mother works at daytime, the father works at nighttime, and that crossover, the kids are sort of missing out. And I was lucky. Back in my day, there was more of a nuclear family, I guess, where the mother stayed at home and the dad worked, but then my mum worked, but there's always, we had some time with some people. These days, it's the parents are so busy as well, and the kids feel neglected, I guess, if you're copying a lot of stuff at school and your parents aren't around because they're at work or doing this and that. It's hard to talk to someone. But again, talking to someone is the best. So, yeah, I was bullied a little bit at school, but I sort of handled my bullying a little bit different. I was bullied to a stage by one person, and I remember I was in a bus line, and then I handled it pretty much. Then I wasn't bullied again after that.
I see what you mean. I got physically beaten up by my bully when I was in a preschool, and the next year, it happened quite frequently for the first year in preschool at recess. And then the next year, I was determined to make sure that never happened again. And so when he came up to me on the first day of kindergarten with the same intents, I decided to do something that didn't technically violate the rules, but but to avoid that from happening. And basically what I did was I ran at him thinking, and he thought he was going to get attacked, and so he ran away, and I just kept chasing him until the end of the recess period. And it was not against the
rules. How old was that? How old?
What?
How old were you? How old was he? That started early, the bullying, Jesus.
Yeah, it was 5 years old when I
that's
did
crazy.
That.
You got to think what they're learning at home, pretty much. Like, kids are sponges. Kids are sponges, and I find most bullying are compensating something. Shitty lifestyle at home, or the mothers get bullied by the father, or the fathers get bullied by the mother. They do copy a lot of stuff. So sometimes bullying, there is a reason and a pattern to it. Normally, if they're getting picked on by someone else, they're pushing it down the line. Not all the time, but that's what I pretty much find.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And so, yeah, to answer your question, it was 4 to 5 when all that happened.
That's
And then,
crazy.
yeah, and then the school sort of put a stop to it by relocating him to another part of the school. And then 2 years later, I happened to be put in a basketball game on the opposing team with him. It was not like a sports basketball game. It was just a minor one for the kids, where there was really just not as many rules as what you would find in the sport. But anyway, I was on the opposing team and he fouled me and it didn't end well and we never saw each other again after that.
I just find the age crazy to start that sort of stuff. Like, so that was 4 or 5, and then a couple of years later, it was 7 or something like that. And the bullying, like, I suppose parents don't really see it, and if you do hear of your kid doing that, they go, "Oh, that's just Johnny being Johnny." Well, it's actually Johnny being a dick, and you should pull him up on it. But some parents don't. The kids glow. If I found out one of my grandkids were bullying, or one of my kids were bullying when they were younger, I would have dealt with it because I can't handle people picking on weaker people.
Yeah. My mom is also against bullying as well. And she actually told me once that if I ever did it to anyone and if it was proven, she would have made me address the victim and potentially hang out with him to rehabilitate the situation. You know what I mean?
Good on you,
Like
Mom.
yep. And force us to go out to dinner, banging our cars, Days of Thunder style. You get the picture.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very firm.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. So So pretty much I've been up to everything since the last time we spoke. DJing. I did the All Shot DJing competition, and then I've been DJing after that. And I'm starting term 3 and going to uni in term 3. That's in a month or so, and I'm doing my degree in digital film and media. I did my diploma. I ended up finishing TAFE that time when I got sick and took that time off. They said to me, maybe you should defer it. You won't be able to finish it. But I finished it and got it done, and I graduated. And I had help from one of my friends. He's also the editor and the filming of a lot of my short movies and documentaries. So he helped me with a lot of stuff, and we ended up graduating. When they told me pretty much, we don't think you'll make it, and just defer it the next year. And I said, nah. So we graduated, and then I won the TAFE award, and they showed my short film on the big screen, and I won an award for that, and snowballed after that. I think we've won multiple international movie awards for our short film. We've won a heap of awards for our documentary. The music videos won quite a few awards, a lot of stuff overseas. And tonight, the music video is up for nomination tonight. So we're doing pretty well. I've really only been in the film industry for a year, pretty much 1.5 years. But won multiple awards and kicking goals. So something I'm really interested in doing. And the power of film and media. I think you can tell a story. But rather than telling someone what to do, you can subliminally put it into a story, and people can see it. It's like my short film that's on my YouTube is the anti-peer group pressure and anti-meth movie. That's what that's about, that one. And so it's done quite well. There's a lot of places that have used it for an educational film. Overseas, it's kicking goals. Probably some places here in Australia, it's a little bit too much. It's too real. It's too much swearing or drug abuse, but that's life, and I like to keep my stuff real. So it's been well received by the generation it was meant for. So yeah, so that's what I'm up to at the moment.
Nice. That is absolutely surreal.
It is crazy. As you guys know, that I grew up in illiteracy, and that was probably the biggest hurdle I've ever gone through with all the medical stuff. A lot of my dark days of thought was because I thought I was stupid because I couldn't read. I just couldn't comprehend reading and writing. I couldn't comprehend it. People go, you should be able to. I should, but I can't. There must be something wrong with me. I found that there's nothing wrong with me because I think if if you lack in one thing, you excel in other things. So you just got to find your niche. I taught myself how to read when I was about 20. I went to an adult learning thing to read and write, and they kicked me out. They said, "No, you're too smart. You're not coming here. Too intelligent." I can't read or write, but okay. Then I taught myself how to read when I was 20. Writing, I'm okay with, but slowly just picking up patterns. Music does a lot of good learning. But if you're ever having some learning difficulties, put stuff in a rhythmic form, and it sort of teaches you. So that's another little coping mechanism I've come up with these days. So I've overcome a lot of boundaries, and sometimes I sit back and go, wow, you sort of moved to the streets of Sydney when you were 8 years old. My mother come and brought me to the Gold Coast when I was about 12. I grew up on the Gold Coast. I went to school for a little bit, left school dropout, bummed around the street, and couldn't read, couldn't write. Then I ended up, now I've got a clothing company. I do my own designs. I'm a writer, director, filmmaker, screenwriter, DJ, and picking more goals in the last couple of years than I had my whole life. And my biggest achievement are my children, which is far big achievement. My children out-excel me. They're way better than me. But yeah, it's crazy. So, and a lot of things I advocate too is never give up. You don't know what life is going to have for you around the corner. I've had some dark days in my life, really dark days, and I didn't think I was going to dig out of them. But now I'm so happy for every day that my eyes open. So yeah, things can change. So if anyone's out there and it feels like it's just too much and need to give up, things do change. And I'm a big advocate for that. And it's been so rewarding over the last year since I've been doing this stuff. You read my stuff on my YouTube and my personal messages, people going, I was going to give up. I was going to end myself. You've got through these dark days, even with the dialysis stage, because it is a hard thing to go through, sticking needles in your arm, 8 hours a day, stuck to a chair. But people have reached out to me and thanked me even for coming forward about my reading and writing, about my suicide attempts back in the day, and just being so open and real. People are sending me personal messages all the time and thanking me. That's what I find rewarding, and that's really changed my life. And that's one thing that has majorly changed my life, is people reaching out to me.
Yeah, for sure. They're really inspired by your journey, and I get similar comments on YouTube with what I do with Andy McPhee. And Andy was actually, I had a dark moment years ago when I got my bipolar type 2 diagnosis, and there was a week where I got little or no sleep for like almost 6 days, possibly even more. And I wasn't sure I was going to dig myself out of that hole, but it was actually words from Andy around that time that caused me to remember how much he and I mean to people and how everybody matters. And that inspired me to take the action to fixing the situation,
Yeah. And talking about it too, like you are now, people say, oh, yeah, it is normal to go through that. I think some people think it's something wrong with you, but every single person has dark times. I know fit young people that get body dysmorphia. I know people who've got everything that get down. It's people just go through hard times, and I think social media puts a big everyone's life is perfect, but most of them perfect glamorous lives aren't perfect. Everyone's normal, but they're just not posting up the shit they're going through. So that's why it's good for people like me, you, and other people that are more honest. Say, yes, there is dark times. Yes, we've got through it. It wasn't easy. So glad we just pushed through. I think that's a good message too.
Yeah, for sure. Very lately, now that you brought that up, very lately for the channel, I've been doing some episodes that are yet to be aired with some people that don't entirely have happy endings or witness tragic things that don't have happy endings. Like I recently brought on a couple guests that survived the Columbine shooting in my home state of Colorado. And the point of that was to remind the audience and the world in general that that life isn't perfect. There is darkness. And, the Columbine situation was the result of two teenage boys that just hated the world and they couldn't let go of their hate. And in the end, it destroyed them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hate's an evil thing. There's so many evil things out there. One of the, like jealousy, hate, they're evil. They're all evil things. I think I was on that panel with your channel once where the lady was in 2 school shootings. She was witness to that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
There is dark times, but push through it, people.
Yep, you got to push through and never give up. And now that you mentioned your writing struggles from the past, I should let you know, Darryl, that you're not the only one that had writing problems. I have a funny story actually about it that I shared with my former 3rd grade teacher from when I was in his class. In 2006 to 7, I was in 3rd grade with my now friend, but my then teacher, Mr. Terry Leha. And I had a great experience with him as a teacher for a guy that was spicy at a young age. But anyway, what happened was after 2nd grade, me and my schoolmates were told that going forward, we were not going to be given the leeway if we wrote in a way that didn't look right when it came to our handwriting. And so we were told that going forward, we had to write the way that adults do now when writing on paper. And our scores on our assignments, were going to depend on how well we wrote, not just the information. I struggled heavily, however, with putting spaces between the words to the point where when it got very common, Mr. Leha came up to me in November of 2006 and told me, he said, before an assignment, he said to me, "Douglas, I'm warning you again, leave the spaces between the words. If you don't leave any spaces, I'm going to have to deduct from your final score." And I was like, okay. So I wrote out the assignment, forgot the spaces. And so I was like, what do I do? And I did the very first thing that came to mind. I took the pencil and drew vertical lines between the separate words, thinking that would fix the problem. And I was very confident that I had fixed it. And so I submitted it. And I looked over to my paraprofessional, Jana Marshall, and gave her a wink to let her know that I was confident of an A+. And then class ended and everyone went to lunch. And I stood up and Mr. Leha from his desk was like, gesturing me to come up to him. And I was very confident. I thought that he was going to congratulate me for a job well done, and he came up, and when I came up to my desk, he held up my papers and was like, "What's this?" And I was like, "It's my assignment." And he looked at me and said, No. He opened it and then pointed at the lines and was like, "What are all these about?" And I was like, "I solved the problem with my handwriting, sir. I fixed the problem with the spaces." And he was like, No. This does not fix your handwriting. And he said to me, "I meant spaces. You can't just put vertical lines between the words. That's not what I meant either." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it solved the problem for you.
Yeah, it solved the problem for me, but it wasn't still what he expected. And luckily, he gave me forgiveness. He admired that I was trying,
Yeah.
But he said to me,
"You come up with a solution." No, I'm doing all my writing now. I do a lot of voice texting, and I'm really bad with punctuation and full stops and all that. And I had it reading back to me the other day, and I couldn't even understand it. Oh, this is why full stops come in handy. I'm only learning this stuff now. Like, I've never been a big writer, but now I'm learning little tricks now. So, and a lot of times if I write something, I'll voice text it, send it to someone, go, "Oh, that doesn't say that." So that gets me in trouble sometimes. It changes my words to some random words. But anyway, anyone that really knows me, I say, "Oh, sorry about that. No, we understood what you said."
Yeah,
everyone's used to it. If it's spelt too good, they know I didn't write it.
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia, saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Chee.